was super cheap and there was so much variety, Anyway, this time she asked, they say, oh, you should put your jackets away, where everybody's just kind and there is no quiet, like literally so quiet. Things like ice cream are super cheap here, and that really shocked me. In some rooms, and we're pretty. Check us out. Literally, you wouldn't even know there are people living somewhere because welcome to today's super relaxing asthma session. Hope you enjoy this triggers and tingles. I hope they help you relax or sleep. Please do also follow us on our social media platforms if you like. We are on Instagram, Twitter, and recently we joined Facebook. So we would really appreciate if you guys show us some love over there. The links to all our social medias are in the description of this video. We also have individual vlog channels on YouTube that we document our day-to-day lives, things we are passionate about, our routines, and the usual vlog type of stuff. So if you do like that kind of thing, please check us out. So today's session is a fan favorite. Guys, I have to apologize that the noise you hear out there, it's fine Friday, and I guess there's so many much going on out there. Like the neighbors are up and down, basically. Anyways, please excuse every noise and, loud talk you hear out there. We tend to shoot the videos over the weekend, especially Sunday, because it's much more quiet on Sunday and there's not much noise. Plus, y'all remember the lady I told you, the crazy lady that goes up and down the lift 1,000 times a day? Well, she decided to move out of her apartment and I guess give it to her daughter, because her daughter, I guess, wants to start a family, or rather continue a family and have more kids, but her space was much smaller, so apparently her and her mother are exchanging flats, so there was a lot of renovation going on. Today I thought I should answer a request that someone asked me a couple of weeks ago. Actually, this lady always asks us to do various things, but she's always like so polite, so I will oblige. She's followed us for quite some time now, and I really just appreciate how, dedicated she is to watching and leaving a comment on all our videos. Anyway, yeah, so I thought I should answer that request. I like to get requests of various things, either to talk about or to do in asthma sessions. Anyway, this time she asked if I could tell a little bit of the culture shocks I experienced living here in Europe. So yeah, here are some of the culture shocks I experienced, moving to Europe from East Africa. I know a lot of you people do not know that I'm from East Africa, specifically Kenya. I get the craziest comments of where people assume we are based or we currently live. Guys, I have to apologize yet again for all that commotion you hear out there. As I said, unfortunately, it's a busy day, Usually it's not this noisy, as I explained. It's just that we have new neighbors. So moving here, I was shocked by the weather. Back in East Africa, we do not have the summer, spring, autumn, and winter. We do not have this kind of season, so we basically just have the rainy season and the sunny season, and in some cases people just call them the planting season, and the harvesting season. Yeah, so we do not have seasons back home as they have seasons here. I do find that seasons here can be quite misrepresented and somehow erratic. Misrepresented in a way that they say, oh, now we are in spring, it should be warmer, but then it's still so cold. Like, there was one spring, was it 2 years ago, that it was spring, but it was snowing, all over the country we live in, and I was like, this isn't spring, it's just as cold as winter. And then they have apparently the autumn, fall, where it's supposed to be not so cold, but then it gets cold super quick after summer. So in my mind I'm like, this is just as cold as winter, So basically for me, really, when they say, oh, you should put your jackets away, it's spring, or you shouldn't put your jackets out, we're still in autumn, and I'm like, no, Another thing that really shocked me arriving here was the fact that not very many people spoke English. Actually, literally, very few people spoke English, and they still do. Even in Prague, the capital, at the airport, it's crazy. They'll try to speak to English, but it won't be that good, At the airport workers, they will just be like patching up the English, so I was kind of like shocked that they do not speak English at all. From, shop tellers to policemen to you name it, traffic police, everyone, taxis, in most cases, unless like find a taxi driver who's like foreign or something, they do not speak English. Restaurants, yes, they will speak it some, but you hardly understand what they're saying, So that was really actually like a issue for me, I remember one time after my husband went to work, I tried to go to McDonald's, and I got lost in the center because where we lived before was like a 10-minute tram ride to basically the main square of the capital city, and I got lost, and I went into a tabak. It's a kind of a small shop that sells cigarettes, and I asked the person there, and this is the main city square of the capital. I asked the guy there, could you please help me, I'm lost? And he just, chased me away speaking in Czech. He didn't even want to hear it, so you will find that there are some people who get quite angry and annoyed and you speak to them in English. Yeah, that kind of shocked me, and it's just not one instance, it's like it happened multiple times, Actually, in some cases you'll find that the younger generation can speak English, but they're kind of afraid. Like basically people from 35 going down in most cases can understand a little bit, but they're afraid to express themselves. And in also some other cases you'll find that some people will speak English, but as I said, you cannot understand what they're saying. But the older generation, like from 40 going up, they do not speak a word in English, and that was really like annoying, because I was like, every country in the world, they speak English, at least in the capital, how do these people travel? And when they travel, at least the ones that are able to travel, they go to all these countries in the world and they're spoken to in English, but they, do not make an effort to learn the international language of, overseas. That's kind of like, okay, if you came to East Africa, everybody would speak to you in English, so why would you not speak an international language? So I kept on questioning that sometimes, because even government offices, they all didn't speak English. Yeah, so somehow that was a little bit annoying, but I got used to it. So, talking about culture shocks, one of the very first things that blew me off a little bit was the public nudity and the comfort of it. I arrived at the end of summer, so there are people still, dressing like it was warm. I find that people here do not like to get through a season. Now that I've been here for quite a while, I find that people do not like to get through a season so quickly. So towards the end of summer, you still see that people will be wearing shorts and stuff, even though it's getting quite chilly. And yeah, I was really shocked that people are so comfortable walking half naked. It's something that I had not, I'd only seen on TV, and now I was seeing it in real life, and it was really, I don't know if to say alarming, but it was really something that shocked, So some of these culture shocks, I really don't get over them, because I just couldn't imagine how he was just naked, like just completely with no clothes, standing at the deck, watching other people. This other one is not really a culture shock, it's more of something that, I didn't see happen anywhere else. Like it's not something that happened back home, that people really didn't have curtains. When I arrived, we lived on the 6th or 5th floor of an apartment building, and I remember seeing some quite crazy things in the next building, and I was like, oh my god, that's like absolutely mad, that people do not, have curtains. And it's not because they were living on a top floor like us, but I guess it's more of they just put like what do you call the plastic blinds, and in most cases they would just leave them open the entire time. It's not like they would close them at night and during the day they would open them. No, it was just throughout open. It's also crazy because right now, currently in our house, we do not have curtains in some rooms, and we're pretty comfortable that way somehow. I discovered very early on that the things that are cheap here are expensive back home, and the things that are deemed expensive or are really expensive back home are cheap here. Let's take for example beef and chicken. Well, eggs in Africa are quite cheap, but the chicken itself is quite expensive, especially if you buy it in the supermarket. And even if you just buy it, by the roadside, it's still kind of expensive, like a full chicken or a half a chicken. Yeah, so anyway, I discovered that a chicken is really cheap here, and people could literally eat it every day, and that's not the case back home. And also things like sausage, those are really quite cheap here, but frozen sausages back home, quite expensive. I don't know if it's the preservation and the packaging that makes it much more expensive back home, or why exactly it's so much more expensive. Also things like ice cream are super cheap here, and that really shocked me, the fact that a tin of ice cream was super cheap and there was so much variety, and back home ice cream was really a luxury. Things like chocolate, yeah, there's like hundreds of types of chocolates, and back home there's really very few, and they are super expensive. Arriving here, I didn't really have much expectation, because it's a new country, I don't know what to expect, and I was really ready for anything. I just wasn't ready for how much racism was still alive here. Like, really, there's still so much racism here, even today, like people of color viewed in a negative way somehow. For example, entering in a supermarket alone, I would notice that the security follow me around, look at me in different corners to see if I'll, I guess, steal something. And that really annoyed me, especially when I got my first job. There was a supermarket in the next building, next to the building I worked in. Those security guards in that supermarket just literally followed me and gave me a hawk eye every corner I took in that supermarket. The thing is, they knew I worked in the next building, but that didn't stop them from, watching me suspiciously and because also you see like sometimes when you go somewhere, people will treat you like crazy, like there is no sense of community here. Like you know the way you are chatting with your neighbor and you tell them, hey, if it starts raining, could you please unhang my clothes from outside or something like that. Yeah, even for people who live in like individual houses where it's not like a flat like where we live, they hardly talk to you, you know, they hardly even, you know, say hey. Sometimes when you meet them, you know, in the stairs or downstairs, they will not even say hello to you. At least there's some people who didn't greet me, you know, and they will not try to find out where you're from or anything about you. You just enter their house and close the door. Africa, where this, you know, we call it the spirit of Ubuntu. It's like the spirit of community, really. Like, how do I translate that? The spirit of togetherness, you know, where everybody's just kind and nice to each other and they are ready to lend a helping hand. Not here, really not here. And to top to the fact that also people here are very cold. As I've been saying, as I said, it's not my view, it's a view of so many experts who've lived here long and short term, and they all say that people here are very like cold. They're not, you know, warm and cuddly and friendly. Another thing that really shocked me living here was the fact that it's so quiet. Like literally so quiet. I know right now I've been, you know, asking you guys to forgive us about the noise outside, but usually it's super quiet. Like literally you wouldn't even know there are people living somewhere because everybody just whispers. People here do not talk loudly, you know, they do not shout. You hardly know that there are people living there sometimes, or there are people home. And this is also compared to like Spain and Italy, where you hear people, you know, talking at the top of their voices. But the people in the country are living quite, how do I say it? So yeah, compared to back home where there's, you know, so much noise, this place is really quiet. Even in the streets, in the supermarkets, you know, you hardly hear like, you know, the buzz of a congregation or people gathered in one place. You won't hear that here. So a few weeks into my arrival to Europe, I had to go to, you know, the immigration offices and kind of, to call it, report yourself or make yourself known, something like that. So I was amused and also amazed by the order, the fact that you make a telephone call and someone okay, so nonchalant. But yeah, such cases, you see them a lot with government offices, because it is a government college, not a private college. Same applies to hospitals, and such stuff. It's really a huge contrast and also shocking to me. Now going into supermarkets, I was pleasantly surprised by the availability of choice. There's so much to choose from, so much to select from. Rather, for example, flours, you get like 5 types of flours: soft, coarse, extra soft, and extra like hard and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, this is crazy, because I had never seen anything like that, like flour being created with the softness and the hardness, and also the wide variety of like stuff like juices, fruits. You get like 3 different types of oranges, 5 different types of apples, and things like juices. If there's apple juice, there's like 50% fruit, 20% fruit, 100% fruit, freshly squeezed fruit, and such. So that was really like alarming to me in some way, because back home you don't get that much variety. You guys asked me to do another scalp scratching with the hair mask. It's so crazy because how a lot of you guys get it and some of you don't. Basically, this is a hair mask that I mixed together, like 2 hair masks, some keratin mask and protein mask, and some soap, like normal soap, like liquid soap. And then I put it in his scalp and let it dry. The protein mask is in powder form, so I just mix it with water, and then I add the keratin mask. How cold it was, you just imagine when you're back home. You just imagine how cold it is. I remember one person told me that snow is like there to imagine snow. Put your hand in the freezer and touch the parts that are white, like freezing, the corners of the freezer. You see there's like the white stuff on it, at least in, freezers back home. Yeah, so anyway, freezers actually don't have frost. At least the ones we've had don't have frost, but yeah, back home the freezers have frost, and I touched it, and I always imagined that's how snow felt, but I just didn't, imagine how cold it would be, that you would be smoking from your mouth, so that was really like the craziest thing to me. And I came around September. That was the time I arrived here. So not this year, of course, but yeah, shortly after my arrival, it